Yan, so good evening po sa lahat. Ako nga po pala po si Silverge. So, dito sa ating podcast na Usapang Hobby, so ang ating magiging special guest ay wala nang iba kundi si Mr. Ariel Obtinalla aka AO Mecha. So, si AO Mecha or si Sir Ariel isa nakatira ngayon sa Canada. So, doon sa Canada, doon nagpapakilala siya and pinopromote niya yung hobby doon sa community sa Canada. So, dito sa Usapang Hobby, makikilala natin kung sino si Mr. Ariel Obtinalla na ating kababayan. So, before we start our podcast, so huwag kalimutan na mag-subscribe sa aking YouTube channel, Verge Kevin Umali, and also you can follow my Facebook page, Silverge's Toys and Gunpla Family, para maging updated kayo sa mga upcoming kong toys or Gunpla reviews. So, huwag na natin patagalin guys. So, invite na natin si Mr. Ariel Obtinalla.
Yon. Now we got it. Also, good morning, good evening to my friends there in Philippines. Sir Silverge, nako, parang tongue twister yun. Kamusta po kayo?
Yan sir, mabuti rin sir. So, pleasant morning dyan and good evening sa ating mga kababayan dito sa Pilipinas. So, sir, before we start our podcast, so sino yung mga gusto nyong i-shoutouts before we begin this?
Oh my God! Shout out talaga right away off the bat. Shout out to my family and friends, especially in the Pinoy Gunpla YouTubers community. Shout out to every Gunpla builder, model kit builder, toy collector, nerd, friends, and family alike. Hope you guys are doing well, and thank you for having me on your show, sir.
So, before we start or bigyan ko kayo ng mga questions, so pwede niyo po bang maipakita or ma-showcase yung mga collections?
Sure. How do I do this here? I think there's this video. So, this is my workstation muna bago tayo makapunta sa collection. This is where I usually do my live streaming. So it's usually like a top down, and this is where I would build it. There's my new set of tools, toolbox. There's a tank back there. My other phone. For podcasting and IG Live, I've been using this. And then there's me over there. Hi. So this is what I use for my live stream as well. So there's a little bit of the setup on it. My camera back there, monitor 2, and then, oh my God, sino yun, no? Pogi, oh. Ang pogi nun, no? Sino yun, no? Nako, ganda! But yeah, this is like my little workstation that I do my streaming in. And there's my coffee. I need to drink that still. And then here are some of my recent builds. So there's the MG Mark V, the Evangelion Mecha Toy, Bandai, GM Sniper Custom. This one I didn't build live, but it's a newer build. It's the Zogok pala, from the Unicorn series. And then over here I have one of my recent custom paint project. It is an RX-78 with 30-minute missions, and then a 1/4 scale EFSF tank. Here's one of my recent projects as well that I'm putting together. This is the a custom that I'm doing using the Esposito kit. Some of my tools, and then my Christmas tree. There's a little bit of my living room, so it's a little bit of a mess here, but that's my living room. And then over here, this is where my collection is going to be, and I'll show you guys that. This is my dining area, by the way. So there's always some kind of like display happening when people are eating, and it's always a good conversation starter. Here are some of my tools for airbrushing, some of my paints, and then everything here is pretty much my art studio supplies and all that stuff. So I have like, I don't know, a box full of cans.
Actually, it's organized talaga. So maganda madumi pa yan sa lagay na yan.
Madumi pa kasi hindi pa ako nag-dust dito, pero ginagamit madumi kaya alam niyo na ginagamit ko talaga. So here's the Kaizo waterfall. This is my spray boot now. It's a waterfall system, and then at the back, that's where the hole is going to be, the exhaust out. Tapos dito, ito yung 3D printer ko. And then my collection. So my collection is like fixed only in this area. I don't want it going anywhere else in my house. So talagang dedicated itong wall na to para sa collection ko. Okay, so here, the starting off with the collection, sa taas, yung mga malalaking kits na hindi kakasya sa loob. So there's a couple of artwork there. And also there's the, yung Eclipse. Yeah. So hindi ko pa nalagyan ng base yun, kaya nandun muna siya sa taas. So aside from collecting Gunpla, nagko-collect din ako ng Transformers, pero hindi naman masyado karami kaysa sa mga Gundam. So this one is Bruticus from I think this is the classics. No, it's not the classics line. The Combiner Wars edition. Here are some of my recent work throughout the last couple of years. So this one here, you guys might have seen before. Ito yung in-entry ko sa Pinoy Gunpla YouTubers group build na na-judge ni Sir Mark. Yung winner siya ng GBWC 2017. Ganda nga ng ginawa niya. So ito yung kit ko. Nanalo ako first place. Woo!
Congratulations!
Thank you. Ito naman yung bagong kit na ginawa ko early this year. So this is my first kit this year. Kit ba siya ng mga Haijiro Boshi? Ano ba tawag dun yung Windam?
As far as I know, that is from the backpack from Strike North. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Hindi, Windam yan.
Windam. The new release of
New release Windam yan. Tapos may mga 30-minute missions. Tapos yung legs yata ginamit ko from... Oh my God, ano ba ginamit ko yung legs doon? Yung sa G-Bouncer.
It looks like a H1's follow.
Hindi. Age kit yan, pero yung G-Bouncer. Alam mo yung G-Bouncer?
Okay. G-Bouncer of a Commander Wolf.
Kaya nga, yan. Sinacrifice ko 4 na kit para i-bash yan. Oh my God. Doon naman sa likod, yung Wing Zero custom. So yung ginawa kong custom, Wing Zero Proto, yung MG na yan. Tapos nilagyan ko ng Age 2 double bullet weapon sa shoulders niya. Ito yung 2018, yan ang 2018 entry ko para sa GBWC Canada. So ito mga pang-entry yung ginawa ko itong mga to. Ito naman dito, itong malaking to. This is the entry that kick-started my collection again. So 2017, if GBWC Canada was just allowed. So ito yung ginawa ko para sa contest na yon. So
is that an old release? Is that an old release? Is that an old release like Sentinel?
Old release po to. Tama. Old release 1.0 MG EXS. Tapos ang ginawa ko, kinuha ko yung Arios skirts. Lagyan ko ng mga weapons pod dun sa likod. Tsaka, ito yung ginamit kong yung backpack niya ito yung backpack niya dito. Galing sa Uotori na strike.
Okay.
So yan ang gamit ko. Tapos itong baril niya dito, Zeta Master Grade. So tinanggal ko yung stock niya, nilagyan ko ng sensors, tapos ito yung baril galing sa Zeta 2.0.
I thought yung pinakabilog kinuha mo siya sa Zeta Plus. Pero as far as I know, kasama naman yan sa Sentinel, right?
Ang kasama ng Sentinel itong connection piece niya. Pero yung baril mismo galing sa Zeta. Pero parehas naman ang universe nila, kaya parang matching sila. Ito naman ang bagong project ko na hindi ko na-finish kasi wala akong talagang oras. Ito yung artifacts. Ganyan kaliit nga, ang liit niya, tapos ito yung ganyan kalaki yung master grade. Speaking of malaki, ito yung perfect grade Unleashed. This is the RX-78 Granpa. So he gets his own display area. Dito naman sa mga customs na hindi Gunpla per se, ito yung mga 30-minute missions na ginawa ko. So parang homage kay Blitzwing from Transformers. Ito yung ginawa kong parang heavy desert na ano tawag doon, 30-minute mission. And here's a kit bash of the GNX Striker. Ginamit ko para sa contest din ito. And back there's the was it the Justice Gundam Master Grade. Ito, kit bash din to. You could see that there's the Barbatos legs, 30-minute mission hands, at saka yung ashtray backpack or cloak yung ginamit ko para sa puti. Down here, a couple of more collection. Si Figurize itong statue na to by
Hatsune Miku.
Bandai. Oh, Hatsune Miku statue. There's the frame arms girls over here. This is my first time building for frame arms girl. It was actually fun, and I didn't know how complicated the kit can be. So that was a really fun build. There's the MG Jesta giving the peace sign. And over there's the gray Schwalbsby, yung kay Chocolate Man. Here a couple of like seed kits. Ang ganda talaga ng seed kits. Ang ganda ng kulay nila.
Actually, especially yung nilabas nila na full mechanics, talagang innovation, makikita mo.
Hangang-hanga ako dito sa full mechanics na ginawa nila. Halos master grade ang quality. Talagang daming detail. At saka ang ganda ng kulay. Pero ang mahal. Mas mahal pa yata sa master grade yung full mechanics na yan. Blitz Gundam, the Zaku Luna Warrior, and the Buster sa likod doon. And here, a couple of more kits. So there's the P Bandai TR Hazel, RG Wing, bagong release yan. At saka ito galing sa yung series na pangalan Kayoki Senki. Pinapanood namin sa show ko yan.
Where's the Mel's Kenbo? Do you have that?
I do. Pero di ko alam kung saan nilagay siya. I think I put it in the other room, sa other display ko. Sorry na lang. Next time, papakita ko yung picture. So here's some from Wing, si Talgis at saka Epion. Naku, naputol yung wire niya. Pero it's supposed to connect over here. Kailangan lang ilinis. Tapos sa likod doon, yung Gundam X.
Gundam X.
Dito naman sa sa box na to, yun ang MGEX Unicorn. Saka Turn A Gundam sa likod. Sa front naman dito, RG High New. So itong RG High New, ang ganda talaga, sir. Hanga ako sa design at saka build quality nito. Ang ganda. Tsaka matangkad siya. So katabi niya dito, yung 1100 Ecopla. So ito yung recycled plastic na Gundam. Ang ganda rin. Maraming details. At saka affordable nga. Kaya ang ganda niya yung display. At saka tingnan mo, ang tangkad niya halos katulad ng height nito.
Kaya yung RG, pagka binili mo yung RG High, parang sasabihin mo sa sarili mo, parang ayoko na bumili ng MG.
Kaya nga, dapat ginawa nila ng MG nga yan. Ganda talaga. Hanga ako sa design. Tingnan mo yung legs niya. Ang ganda ng design. Tsaka ang daming detalya. So, sa baba naman dito, we have a couple of mix kits. So, yung Pluton, Evangelion, Ultraman, Camper sa likod, Masterpiece, Optimus, at saka bagong leko dito yung si Bumblebee galing sa bagong movie.
Just a question, Sir Ariel. Yung Masterpiece mo na Optimus Prime, is that the old version na Masterpiece?
MP14 or 16. So it's not the first. No, actually no. This is the MP16 kasi tingnan mo yung body niya, hindi 100% box. May parang
Tsaka 'di ba sir, yung yung parang trademark, yung pinaka branding, makikita mo siya sa paa or sa loob ng mismong matrix of leadership.
Sa loob dito.
Oh, kasi 'di ba ganun yung unang release, 'di ba makikita mo yung branding sa loob ng matrix of leadership, 'di ba?
Hindi ko alam kung pwede ko itanggal one-handed Tingnan natin yung matrix niya. Paano ba to? Nako, baka mahirap, kuya.
Let's just check that next time.
I'll check that next time, pakita ko sa'yo. Pero open yung chest, nandun sa loob yung matrix niya. Pakita ko. So ito naman dito, may RX-78 Verka, Ultra Magnus, Laruan yan, hindi model kita. Pero sa likod, ball from the 08MS team,
Is
group
that a
custom,
Verka or the old version?
old Verka, hindi to Verka, regular release sa 08MS team ball, so master grade yan. Okay. Dito naman sa box nito, may Sinanju Verka sa likod. This is the Digimon Amplified Greymon. Ito naman sa front na to, ito yung Hexagear Kotobukiya kit. Ang laki nga nito, ang ganda talaga ng Kotobukiya, pero mahal sila, mas mahal kaysa sa mga Gundams, I think.
Wasak ang wallet mo dyan.
Lason, yun na nga nangyayari. Basta makita yung magandang kit, lalasunin yan eh. Dito naman sa box na to, meron akong Gzai sa likod. F90 Gundam.
Premium Bandai.
Premium Bandai yan. Ang ganda na itong kit na to. Kahit maliit siya, tignan mo yung scale niya sa RX 78. I think 4.0 yata to. 4.0 or 5.0? 5.0?
Yes, that is a GO4. Ay, GO5. So,
GO5 to, no? Right.
GO4. Yes.
Yeah. Tignan mo ang size difference, pero ang ganda ng build nito. Promise ko, ang ganda ng build nito. May enjoy ko yung
They have the same size sa F91. Tsaka cross.
At saka, ang bago yung frame niya. So, P-Bandai, talaga lahat nito bago, hindi recolor, hindi minash. Bago yung lahat, yung armor, yung frame. Ang ganda ng kit na to. And over here, yung sinabi ko natin, yung G05 RX78. Ito naman, small collection of Overwatch. For the last couple of years, I've been playing Overwatch with my friends online. So, kinolect ko yung mga pop figures, saka mga figures galing sa BlizzCon. Sorry na lang sa mga dust dyan. Pero, yeah. Ito, Lego yan, no? Si Bastion. Sa baba naman, mga comic books ko. So, mga trade paperback ang ginamit ko dito sa... So mga trade paperback ang kinokollect ko dito naman sa mababa. So, collection of books.
Well, to be honest, in my own opinion, napaka-organized mo sa gamit.
So, thank you. Hindi pa ako organized ka, hindi pa naman ako nakapag-dusting, so apologize na lang sa mga dumi dito.
And also, I didn't know that you're into Marvel din.
I'm into Marvel because when I was younger, I didn't even know what Gundam was, and comics was my only hobby. So I was collecting comics, I was drawing comics. I wanted to be an artist, actually. So what I did, if I could show you 1 second, sir. So, do you guys remember Reboot?
Is that okay? Is that Nightcrawler on the middle?
No, it's not a Marvel. It's a TV show called Reboot.
Okay.
And I actually, this book is a collection of artwork.
Oh, okay. It's a compilation.
Yeah, but over here, that's me. I actually got printed in a book. So 2011, almost 10 years ago, this was my first printed comic. So I drew this and colored it. And if I look at, oh my God, I'm doing this one-handed. Sorry, guys. You know.
Nice one.
So my credentials back then is just an empty thing. Everybody else has full credentials. Ako ang liit lang sa akin. So that was my first publication.
But at least it's an achievement.
It was.
Right?
It was a really good achievement. And sometimes I play guitar. If you guys seen my my music.
One favor, Sir Ariel, when you play guitar, can you please play the music of Shinsuke Nakamura of WWE?
Oh my God, I gotta practice for that. So here are some of my non-Gunpla kits.
Oh, that's a Starfighter,
right? Yeah, this one is Poe's Starfighter. This one is the Sayata shipborne bomber.
Hasegawa?
This one's from
Hasegawa brand?
Sayata. Sayata ang brand niya.
Okay.
And then we have the spider tanks from 86, and the new spider tank from the new 86 season. So here, let me see if I could open this up kasi may glare yung glass eh. Here are some of my statue collections. So
You're not into girls. You're not into
oh
girls,
no,
right?
not at all.
It's
So
not
some of my
obvious.
collection, I don't think I've shown this to anybody. You're the first person that got to see my collection. Um, so there's Asuka. Let's see if I could go here. There's the Demon Slayer. That's a model kit. No, not a model kit. Is it a model kit? You put together. It's a figure. Sorry, it's a figure. But you put
Is
it
that
together.
as far as I know, it's a Converge, but correct me if I'm wrong for those viewers.
I don't know if it's a Converge. Oops, it's definitely plastic. It's actually no, it's PVC. It's just PVC statue.
Mhm.
A little bit of Tron. So I have a lot of like interest as well. You know.
Wow, the pilot of a destroy gun.
Yeah.
Am I right?
That's the pilot of the Gaia Gundam and
Mhm.
the
Destroy.
Destroy. Yes, from Seed Destiny. Yeah. And then you were asking about Devastator. So that's my
Devastator.
Devastator back there. And this is my collection for the movie. So
Is it
there's
Cyclonus?
Galvatron. Sorry?
Cyclonus on the left side. Is that Cyclonus
Yes,
on the
it's
left
all
side?
of the. So there's two Cyclonus, and I think I have three Seekers, two Seekers,
Mm-hmm.
and then the G1 collection.
Question, Sir Ariel, about the Starscream. Is your Starscream have a crown? So that is the first release, right? For the Power Titans. Power
No, so
well,
I don't have the one that has a crown. This one is the classics edition, so it's
mm.
a deluxe size.
But as far as I know, if you're going to check the value of the Starscream with the crown, yun yung
Hmm.
isa sa mga mahal talaga ngayon sa merkado eh. Yung may crown.
Okay. So I unfortunately don't have that, but
Mhm.
that's good to know. So on my second collection here, I have a couple of what do you call that? Play arts.
Mhm. Oh,
So
Play
there's
Arts kayo, it's a quite investment. Napakamahal talaga niyan pag nakita mo
yeah,
yung
no,
artwork.
yeah, each one of them is very, very expensive. So there's so those ones at the back, Superman, the Trinity, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. And back here, I also have the Flash, Aquaman, and Green Lantern somewhere back there.
About that a girl on the pink one. Is
Yeah.
that from Green Lantern Corps? On the different side of the
No, no,
person.
this is she's Adam Eve from Invincible.
Okay, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
But the girl in the series is not like that. Iba siya.
No, she's younger, I think. But it's
Mhm.
it's from that show. So I have a couple of things here from like Batman,
Mhm.
RoboCop, Overwatch.
About the RoboCop, is that a Hot Toys? Correct me if I'm wrong. Or Mayfex?
No, this is just it's a Neko. I don't know who pronounced it. Neko
NECA.
brand.
NECA. Yes, it's a NECA.
NECA brand. Yeah. This is the 40th. No, not 40th. Can't be 40th. 25th year anniversary
Correct me if
of
I'm wrong,
RoboCop.
the box art of that RoboCop is a classic, right? The
Hmm.
retro one.
Yeah, yeah. It's an old plastic box. Yes.
Mhm.
And then here's my Gundam Wing collection. So
Mhm.
Sandrock, Death Sight.
I like the RX right there.
Mm.
The
So
cell
there's two.
the cell shading effect of the RX. Maganda yung
That was
pagkakaganda.
yeah, that was my first cell shading
Mhm.
that I did. It's very very complicated procedure. I was really challenged by doing that, so it was a lot of fun. And then
How
over here,
much
there's an
how
entry
much
grade.
time did how much time did you consume bago mo siya na
Oh
accomplish
my
na
God, a
gamitin?
lot. I want to say in the span of a week, I was like going back and forth because I do one color at a time. So first would be the primary colors, and then I would start putting in the light shadow, the dark shadow, and then finally the black outline. So you see the black marker around there. That's what I use to outline it because it's more like artistic that you're kind of open to different mediums. So kahit
Mhm.
anong gamitin yung paint, basta yung effect niya ganon, ang final talaga na gagawin dyan yung black outline. Gagamitin yung mga marker or black ink.
Mhm. And also, sir, question, is that Emmet on the middle side?
Hindi. So that's supposed to be me. My friend made a Lego version of me. Pero ang haba ng ng buhok niya. Pero sabi naman ng kaibigan ko, hey, itim naman yung buhok. Parehas na sa'yo. So here is my movie version of the Autobots. So we have there's the movie version of the Decepticons, and then here's the Autobots. So I have like Rodimus Prime,
Rodimus
Ultra
Prime
Magnus.
to Magnus.
Yeah. So it's
A question about the Rodimus Prime. Is that
mhm.
hot rod that has already the metrics of leadership? That's why it transformed into
Correct.
Rodimus
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Prime.
And I actually have a hot rod somewhere, but he used to be in the front, but it just didn't mix well with the collection, so I took him out. And then there's
Mhm.
Wheelie. I still have to update the Dinobot, the Grimlock, because like that's I'm not feeling that Grimlock. I gotta find the one that is bigger dinosaur.
Mhm.
And then here's my G1 collection.
Mhm.
So Optimus Prime and the rest of his crew.
I like Jetfire.
Get fire back there, yeah.
Yes, that's one of my favorite Autobots of all time, next
Oh,
to
nice.
Optimus Prime, Jetfire.
And yeah, that's pretty much my my collection. Nothing
Mhm.
too crazy or fancy.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
So, I'm speechless kasi kung titignan kasi natin yung mga collections mo, kumbaga kumbaga wala halang plastikan. Ganda kasi ng ano mo eh, ng organized ng lugar mo eh. Kumbaga
Oh,
parang
thank you.
partida pa, madumi pa yan.
I try my best to keep it obviously maintained, but like we know we have such limited schedule sometimes that you just don't have time to take care of it. But it
Mhm.
is important to dust and play with your toys once in a while so that they
Mhm.
don't feel too lonely.
Pero sir, tanong ko lang po sir, before siyempre sa Canada, talagang diyan ka na talaga pinanganak at lumaki or galing ka
Hindi
muna
ako
sa Philippines
pinanganak
sir?
dito. I
Mhm.
was born in Manila. I grew up in
Mhm.
Parañaque till I was about 10 years old,
Mhm.
and then we moved to Canada. So I moved here. Well, I'm 38 now, so it's been oh my God, 27 years since I've been here.
But do you find it hard to adjust at nung time na bago ka pa sa Canada na
Oh,
makapag-adjust sa kultura
absolutely.
nila,
Yeah,
ganito?
absolutely. Maraming perwisyo din na nangyari kasi bago kami dito sa Canada, bagong education, bagong experience, bagong culture. So there's definitely a little bit of a difference between Canada and Philippines. Pero I'm
Mhm.
fortunate enough that I came here with my family. They're very supportive. Kahit hindi naman kami mayaman o nag-survive din kami dito.
Mhm. So, before we proceed with my question para sa'yo, shoutouts nga pala kay Sir Erlan Tesorero at kay Sir JV Banaag. So, maraming salamat sa pagpapanood sa Usapang Hobby. So, sir,
Maraming
this is my
salamat.
first.
Yeah,
This is,
good evening everybody. Sorry late kami. That's my fault kasi akala ko 12 hours ang difference namin ni Silverge dito eh. Kaya nag-miscommunicate ako. Akala
Mhm.
ko ang oras diyan 12 hours ang time difference. So ako naman nagising ako. Sabi ko, aga ko ngayon, no? I'm gonna be on time. Mag-check tayo. Tapos, magkakape ako. Mag-aalmusal pa nga. Sasayaw pa nga ako bago mag-live. Tapos, tinawagan ako ni Sir Server. Sabi niya, ano nangyari? Ano sabi ko, kamusta? Kamusta ka rin?
So, we apologize for the viewers na
Yeah.
kumbaga nagkaroon kami ng delays about the time. So, sir, ito yung una kong tanong sa'yo na lagi ko rin tinatanong sa mga guests ko. So,
Yeah.
Sir Ariel, when did you start collecting toys?
I collected at a very small age when it comes to Transformers. My grandfather, he gave me Transformers as I was growing up as present. So I've always been fascinated by robots and mecha.
Mm.
And as you saw, I have Transformers collection as well. So those are
Mhm.
kind of like a reminder of my childhood for sure.
Mhm.
Pero sa hobby ng Gunpla, my
Mhm.
first kit was during Gundam Wing sa mga 1997. My
Mhm.
friend got me Gundam Wing 1100 no grade
Mhm.
for my birthday. Pero at that time, hindi ko alam paano gawin yung mga model kits. So it was very frustrating na gagawa ko ng model kit. Tapos sabi ko, bakit ko i-glue ko ba to? Snap fit. At talagang hindi ko gets yung kung paano siya like put together. So I collected two of them, then I lost interest. Around
Mhm.
2013 yata, yung Gundam Seed,
Mhm.
it aired again in in TV here. I caught the first episode and I liked it. My friend gave me a Christmas present of the Strike 100 no grade, and I was fascinated by it. Kasi obviously, many years has passed since I built a model kit. Tapos bagong kit na nakuha ko. Ang ganda ng design, ang ganda ng build. Talagang na-enjoy ako. So, since then, I started collecting. Oh my God, my collection was, it grew so fast. Talagang lahat ng pera ko siguro na naubos doon. So,
Parang,
my collecting again started around, actually no, it wasn't 2013. It was 2002, 2003. Sorry, my mistake. Tapos, nag-collect ako right up to 2009. And then I kind of had to do my own stuff, you know. So I didn't collect. A lot of stuff happened in my life too that like I just didn't get a chance to collect. So around 2015, that's when I restarted collecting again because I was selling all of my kits. I was trying to get out of the game. And a couple of friends locally that now that they're my friends, but before that I didn't know them. They said that, oh, there's a community you should join and you could sell your stuff there. In my head, I thought I was the only one collecting and building Gunpla, that there was no other people into it aside from me because there was no active community. There's no Facebook, there's no social media, there's no Instagram. So there was no way to really connect with other builders and hobbyists at the time. Like compared to today it's so easy to, you know, pop a camera and start talking to someone that collects the
Saka,
same
sir, di
thing.
ba, Sir Ariel, parang ano yun eh, ramdam ko yung feeling eh. Kasi di ba parang ang hirap kasi sa buhay natin na sa hobbies at that time na parang feeling natin sarili natin na parang tayo lang yung nasa mundo na yun. Parang
Yeah.
parang napaka-weird di ba ng feeling na to the point na sino kaya yung makakasundo ko sa ganitong bagay. Pero ang hirap
Tapos
ng taong ganito.
tapos i-explain mo pa yung mga hobby mo sa mga tao na hindi alam na yung hobby mo, for example. Kaya hindi nila kind of get it. But I like that feeling of being unique kasi ano naman, as an artist, I like my stuff to be unique as well, right? But like having someone to talk to in regards to the hobby na hindi mo pa i-explain na ito yung Talgis or ito yung Age 1. Alam na nila kung ano yon. Pero kung yung sa mga tao na hindi alam, i-explain mo, oh,
Oo
si
lang.
Optimus Prime
Oo
to.
lang.
Si
Oo lang.
Optimum Prime. Optimum Prime, oh. Pucha. Alam mo yung video na yun, no?
So, syempre, kumbaga,
yeah,
sir,
talagang,
kumbaga, sir, compare nung, syempre, nung nag-elementary ka, hanggang sa nag-high school ka, hanggang sa naging college ka, dala-dala mo pa rin yung love or yung passion mo for the hobby.
oh, absolutely. It transfers sometimes, you know, sometimes talagang todo ako na lang, yun yung gagawin ko, hobby na yan, collect, build. Tapos meron naman, marami din akong other hobbies na nagwa-balance doon. Kasi pag marami kang masyadong oras na mabubuhos sa isang hobby, parang napapanis yung taste mo doon. Kaya gusto ko i-diverse din yung taste ko. So marami din ng hobby na ginagawa ko. So examples, live streaming or drawing or yung mga kahit iba na hindi lang basta yung toy hobby.
So kumbaga, pag may times minsan na parang halimbawa, yung sorry for the word, na parang minsan nauumay ka, parang nababurnout ka sa isang hobby, minsan nagmo-move ka sa ibang hobby.
Of course, yeah. That's the one way to, number one, keep your skills sharp and enjoy other things. Kasi bakit naman gagawin kung hindi ko enjoy, di ba?
So, syempre sa moving forward towards syempre, you move to to other countries and napunta ka sa Canada and syempre you thought to yourself na sabi mo nga na parang ikaw lang yung nasa mundo din. And then may mga kaibigan ka na nakapag-introduce sa Canada, sa community ng Canada, that there are some builders out there na talagang
It's a
there's
big
different
community. I was very surprised. I was very, very surprised. I had no interest or idea or knowledge on that there's online communities for Gunpla. So because back in the day, the only time I could see what a Gunpla is was through magazine. I have a friend in the hobby store that has Hobby Link Japan, no, Hobby Japan, and then Geki magazines, and I would flip through that. I'm like, okay, cool. So the only people that I knew na may knowledge para sa mga hobby is the store owner. That's it. That's my only friend that like tells me what the.
Kumbaga sir, sa buhay mo as a hobbies, siyang unang naging parte ng buhay mo towards your development as a hobbies.
Sorry, anong question?
So, parang kumbaga sir, towards your development as a
Mhm.
hobbyist, so siya yung unang naging parte ng buhay mo or una
Yeah, I
mong
would say
nakita?
so. Yeah, I mean kasi ini-explain sa akin kung anong magandang kit. Shout out to Eric Francisco, Filipino rin siya. He was
Mhm,
a store owner. The store has closed since then, but he was a really good friend. He showed me, like what are the good kits, what to look at. I learned UC just by
mhm,
listening to him talk, and then eventually I went to the computer and started typing and then looking it up myself.
mhm,
But yeah, I would say, yeah, at that time, the community helped. It was still new, it was still developing, it was still growing. But having
mhm,
local friends to talk and meet and build together, I think that really
mhm,
helped me establish a more solidified role or solidified interest back into the hobby.
mhm. So, siyempre, nasabi mo nga na may mga nakilala mo siya and then sa shop. So, at first siyempre, hindi nag-a-adjust ka, eh, hindi mo alam kung sino yung mga tao sa paligid mo, kung sino yung
Oh,
hobby mo.
absolutely, yeah.
So, sa shop siyempre 'pag papasok ka sa shop, paano naman yung kultura ng mga Canadian, halimbawa titingin sa mga shop? So,
Ah,
paano mo sila ina-approach o tinutulungan or paano mo malalaman kung hobbyist yung Canadian, eh?
sa Canada talagang diverse. It's a very diverse country. Marami mga tao from all over the world.
Mhm,
Mainly Canadians, pero yung mga pumupunta sa mga stores na ganon, majority are Asians. So mga
mhm,
Chinese, Filipino background
mhm,
ang bumibili ng mga kits tsaka mga hobby
mhm,
mga mecha hobby ganon.
mhm,
But Canada-wise, it's not just it's not as big as it is now. So back then, nung nag-start ako ng collect, parang mga konti lang ang mga tao. Pero mga observation ko the last couple of years, because of social media, because of the cinemas, for example, like Ready Player One had Unicorn in there. Oh, no, not Unicorn. Ready Player One had RX-78, and then the Unicorn appeared in Pacific Rim, right?
mhm,
So there was the knowledge of Gundam started becoming more and more apparent here. Now with the lockdown, I noticed that a lot of people, obviously post hobbies in social media, and I think that's how it spreads the knowledge.
mhm, mhm,
So people are more educated, or at least know about our hobby, and I'm talking about
mhm,
Gunpla here.
mhm,
That they are interested. So when I go to the stores, I
mhm,
notice people that are not just Asians buying model kits, talking like
mhm,
Gundam and all that stuff. Also, you could
mhm,
see that apparent in Facebook communities. So if you go to like Gunpla Network or even
mhm,
my group Side Six, there's a very
mhm,
big diversity of people in Canada
mhm,
as well,
mhm,
getting into the hobby and more knowledgeable on it. So I would say that back then not as much. Now
mhm.
there's a lot.
Mhm. So, sabi mo nga sir na ano, you almost, sell or give up the hobby. So,
Yeah.
siyempre, nakilala mo na yung mga persons na 'to. So, what was that after nung time na sinabi mo, 'di ba? Parang may part ba sa sinabi mo na bakit ko ba nasabi yun?
Yeah. Oh, well, in life, there's nothing, obviously certain. There's nothing a lot of, like, not everything lasts forever, that kind of stuff. So I was in a very sad life at that time.
Mhm,
But
mhm,
so I was trying to get rid of my collection. Number one, I needed the money because like I was
mhm,
I needed financial stability again because there was a little bit of a hiccup there. And
mhm,
when I met them, they were local. They were also Filipino, and I didn't have a lot of Filipino friends growing up. Most of my friends
mhm,
have been Canadian, and my Filipino friend, one of my close Filipino friend, David, he
mhm,
was already Canadianized, so he can't even talk Tagalog with me without.
mhm,
He could understand Tagalog, but he can't talk Tagalog with me. So it was very
mhm,
challenging. So when I met a group of amazing Filipino builders here, they showed
mhm,
me back the fun of the hobby, on top
mhm,
of relearning my culture again, the food, the language, and the culture. So I was very fortunate to be mingled with such good friends. So
mhm. So, siyempre, sa mga nakasama mo, siyempre naging part sila ng buhay mo, eh. And, marami tayong natututunan kapag kami nakikilala tayo sa mga taong nakakasalamuha natin, eh.
oh,
So,
absolutely, absolutely.
yes, for your, collecting siyempre, since na nabanggit mo nga na may mga nakikita kang mga Canadians that are expanding na siyempre. So, for the community in terms naman sa market ng Gunpla, so how much yung mga Gunpla sa Canadian compared sa Philippines? May kamahalan ba siya kumpara dito sa atin?
Hindi ko alam kung anong presyo, paano ko i-compare yung the two of them. Because meron kaming shipping na siguro mas mahal dito kasi mas malayo ang Toronto or mas malayo ang Canada. So merong shipping on top of that. Tapos yung tax, meron kaming tax dito. So kung i-factor mo yun, depende kung sa store dito. Meron mga stores sa local ko lang to, sa local sa Toronto or Ontario, my province. There are some shops that I think oversell or overpriced because either their audience already has a lot of money, they're just not knowledgeable about the prices, they don't really hunt down prices. But there are other stores here that have decent prices and sometimes even like 10% markup instead of 20% markup, right? So it really depends on where you go in Canada, but I think there's a lot of, especially during COVID, a lot of new online stores appeared and they became part of the community. So if one doesn't have it, the other one will have it. So I would say the price difference, it really will vary on the store. I can't really say that this is the global price for it. I actually don't know what the prices are in Philippines. I'm assuming they're cheaper kasi mas malapit kayo sa Japan or mas malapit sa Asia. Yung shipping on it won't be as expensive.
And how about the influence of Gunpla for the Canadian community? So what do you think if you're going to scale or estimate the influence? What do you think has the most influence? Marvel or Gunpla? So what do you think? Kasi
By
malakas din
far
ang influence
Marvel.
ng western.
I think Marvel is like is a little higher than a lot higher than Gunpla. Gunpla is getting there in popularity just because of the market and in social media. Again, as I mentioned, we're getting more knowledge of Gunpla. Whereas Marvel, you've seen my comic book collection. I've been collecting that since high school, or like so. It's been Marvel's been, I think, more stable and around more so than Gundam in
So
Canada.
kumbaga nakakasabay yung Gunpla sa Marvel tsaka sa Transformer. So nakakasabay.
Exactly. But Gunpla, in regards to popularity, I mean, it's rising. It's definitely risen a lot more, especially during the COVID. Unfortunately, it took a COVID for people to understand what Gunpla is. So, but I think in the community here, it's mixed. I mean, it depends on who you talk with. It's such a specific hobby, right? So there's not, if you have Marvel fans, they're gonna say Marvel. If you have Gundam fans, they're gonna say Gundam as they're popular.
Yan. So, before we proceed sa aking question, so shoutouts nga pala kay Sir John Paul Santos and kay Sir Mark Aris Montero from Mariveles, Bataan. So, maraming salamat po sa panonood sa Usapang Hub.
Salamat.
Yan.
Good evening po sa lahat. a little late nga po ngayon, mga 9, anong oras na dyan? Mga 10 PM na ba?
Magte-10, so 9:52 na po ng evening.
So, magandang gabi po sa lahat.
So, Sir Ariel, next question. Syempre, tayo kasi mga collectors, syempre, pag may nakikilala tayong mga kaibigan, also may nakikilala din tayong mga grupo sa mga bawat nakakasalamuha natin. So, on your first experience na makasama sa mga grupo, so what was your first group na nakita mo sa Canadian community?
So, as I mentioned, I met some Filipino locals that are into Gunpla. And my first community in Canada was called Mecha Canada. And later on, it evolved to other communities called GTA and Gunpla Toronto Builders or something like that. Oh, no, Gunpla Toronto Association. I joined that community for Mecha Canada originally, and I think it was a really good community. There was a lot of like people across Canada posting, and I didn't feel alone anymore. There was a lot of people, from across the country posting in different time zones and all that stuff. But as the communities evolve, people have different interests or different take on how communities should run. So at one point I didn't like how one community was going, and I figured, you know what, like I know what kind of community I want. I know what kind of community I belong to because of my past experience with friends and my passion for the hobby. So I ended up creating my own community with a couple of friends. So if you guys are in Facebook, if you look up facebook.com/groups/side6, with 6
Mhm.
being the number 6. That is a
Mhm.
community that I helped start with a couple of friends in 2018, I want to say.
Mhm.
And the reason why we started that is because we wanted a community that will help. We believe that will help people grow into the hobby. So a
Mhm.
couple of things that makes us different. Number one, we're public, so you could view us
Mhm.
without having to join. You could see everything that we post. We
Mhm.
have nothing to hide. And number
Mhm.
two, as much as people love
Mhm.
backlogs and showing their boxes and their hauls, one of our founding rules was like no backlogs pictures. If you want to post backlogs, you could go to a different site. We could recommend you to a whole bunch of other communities that. Because for us, binili niyo yung kit na yun, di ba? Binili niyo yung mga collection niyo. You're supposed to take, I feel like you should take it out of your box. You should enjoy it. Kasi parang
Mhm.
nakulong lang sila dun sa box na yun, tapos
Kumbaga,
lalagyan lang sa
kumbaga,
storage, tapos
kumbaga hindi na sila nakapagano, I've got you, my
yeah.
queen.
Yeah, so what's the point of, I get it, may collect, ako rin naman, meron akong mga backlogs, meron akong ano, pero my plan is to obviously open them and do it. And I think by showing more posts about your work, it will
Mhm.
encourage people to open their box and actually do the project, right? That's the whole
Mhm.
point of having the hobby, because like, well, not the whole point. It's one, the more so you want to open it and build it, right?
Mhm. So, Sir Ariel, how was the camaraderie, the brotherhood? Kapag syempre, pag may mga gatherings sa may mga events,
Yes,
so
yeah.
kamusta naman ang mga
They're
Canadians
good.
kasama
I
mo?
usually host the party actually at my
Mhm.
place. So that table that I showed you there, that's where the mga pagkain namin, and we would come here and build with my local friends, but obviously not during COVID. Local scene, there's a lot of gatherings. So my particular community, we would host a build day. Meron
Mhm.
kami mga kaibigan sa isang hobby shop malapit dito. Binigay sa amin yung room nila para gamitin para sa mga group meets namin. So we do group meets in person. We share our
Mhm.
knowledge. We share, we talk about our hobby, and talagang parang community ang we were trying to establish. But obviously
Mhm.
recently not so much. But we do online Zoom, not Zoom, Facebook rooms
Mhm.
meeting, which is kind of cool too kasi parang hindi lang ang local lang sumasali. Mga kaibigan
Mhm.
namin across the world was able to join. So in regards
Mhm.
to brotherhood, yes, it's absolutely there's brotherhood there. There's a lot of friendship, a lot of people that share your interest, and I think that's what really um, helps with the passion for the hobby, like getting together with people that yun gusto rin yung mga ginagawa niyo.
Mhm. So, siyempre, moving forward na may nakikita na natin yung community ng Canadian is talagang maganda, very decent, the camaraderie is there. So, let's talk about their works, the competition, Gunpla
Mhm.
Builders World Cup. So, on your according to my research na nga, sabi na nakikita rin natin yung mga works mo that you joined Gunpla Builders World Cup. So, how was the experience ng meetups and yung camaraderie from regular meetups to competition? So, what was the difference?
Yes, no, I think the meetups in regular and also the meetups in competition is exactly the same. So I met a lot of people because of the competition. I met like so I'm on the east side of Canada, but we have a really good number of people. It was
Mhm.
2017 was the first GBWC competition in Canada, and I
Mhm.
entered my MGEXS to it. But
But question, sir, before we proceed. What made you join Gunpla Builders World Cup? So, what was your motivation?
I wanted to paint something orange and I wanted to show it to people. No,
But at
I
first,
think it,
but at first, sir, para sa'yo ba at that time parang wala ka pang guts pa na sumali at that time or may mga taong nag-motivate sa'yo na sumali ka?
both. It was very. It's number one. I've seen Bakusi. So back in the day, Bakusi or
Bakit?
Zaku. I've seen a lot of competitions. We have local competitions as well, and most of the local competitions, the people that enter there also will enter GBWC. So it's a little bit of like both. So for me, when I was entering, I was scared. I was very, very scared na baka pagtawanan ako, or like hindi maganda yung ginawa ko, or like baka
Mhm.
may mga tao na sabihin na bakit ka sumasali ganon. I don't
Mhm.
really listen to that. In my head it's more of like, can I do it? What can I
Mhm.
do with my skill set right now and what can I show the world. So I always go with the positive vibes. So when I built it, I entered it. I was very happy. I'm very proud of my work, and I could improve upon my work, and that's what I gained from it. The judges came, they told me what was wrong with it or what I did good with it, and I continued, obviously improving and focusing on developing my skills. But yeah, at the time,
kasi 'di ba Sir Ariel, 'di ba, 'yan ang problema ng iba, especially sa atin sa mga Pilipino, na parang wala silang guts na sumali dahil nga sasabihin na para lang sa mga may skills. Pero at the end of the day, 'di ba, it's just for enjoy eh. Kailangan enjoy natin yung hobby.
And build it for you. I think that's the most important thing that you could think of when you're doing this. The audience you're building this for should only be one person, and that's you. If you build it for yourself and you truly enjoy it, doesn't matter. Everything else is bonus.
Tsaka kumbaga sir, 'di ba, you will learn things from that eh. Kumbaga,
Absolutely.
constructive criticisms, if they criticize you on your works, if you're going to make that as a motivation for the next competitions that you will join, you'll make your works even better than your previous. Am I right?
Absolutely, 100%.
So sir, moving forward, syempre, you joined Gunpla Builders World Cup and you learned so much about that competition. So what about Master Katsumi Kawaguchi when you met Master Kawaguchi in person? What was the feeling?
So I'm just gonna put it to context. 2019 GBWC was held in 3 locations in Canada: Vancouver, Edmonton, and Montreal. So there's 3 regions in Canada: West, Central, and East. I'm in the East. However, I went to was it 2018 or 2019? It was 2019. So I went to Vancouver to enter my my competition. So I already entered before Meijin Kawaguchi came to do the judging in the East. But I came to the East competition with my friends. So if you guys know Nicholas Tejada Sanchez, he's the current GBWC champion for Canada. He's also one of my close friends. Amazing guy, amazing builder. And when we were there, Meiji Kawaguchi was judging everybody. I felt bad because I want mines to be judged as well by Meiji Kawaguchi, but it's okay. I'm just glad my friends got to do it. However, so punta ako sa lunch, pabalik na ako. May kasama ako mga kaibigan na they're part of the community in Montreal that helped facilitate para sa Meiji Kawaguchi his stay there. Like they're the ones that like bring him from one room to the other, and they were coming back with his lunch. So I'm walking with them kasi nag-uusap lang kami kung anong balita, anong ginagawa ninyo, anong gagawin natin mamaya. Tapos naglalakad kami, tapos nakita ko sa corner of my eye Meiji Kawaguchi, and I was like, oh my god, it's like he's in a business suit, all black, and he's just like walking very sturdily. And I'm like, and this is me going like, oh my god. So I went over there because like they were gonna meet up anyways. I'm like, oh, Mr. Kawaguchi, and he's like that, and I'm like, thank you so much. Nagsasalita ako ng English sa kanya, no? Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate your your insight and your work, and you're very very influential to our community. He has a translator, so his translator had to translate what I said to him, and he's like, So I do have a photo of Mr. Kawaguchi.
Positive naman kay Master Kawaguchi, ano siya, hindi siya suplado.
No, not at all. Very, very approachable.
Talaga niya.
Yeah, and he's not that tall. He's like my height. Like I think he's like 5'5", 5'6", and he was kind of cool. So I shook his hand. We had a photo together, and then off he went to lunch. And I think I'm one of the rare people that in that area that had a chance to shake his hand and take photos with him. I think there's only like a handful of people that did. So I was very lucky to be in the area at the time that he was.
So have you tried taking autographs dun sa mga kits mo? Napa-autograph mo ba kay Master Kawaguchi?
No, the only autograph I have is from you get this medal for participation. The badge. So I got him to sign the box.
So since nabanggit na natin ang GBWC and Master Katsumi Kawaguchi, so let's talk about the competition. So in terms of skills, syempre, alam naman natin na iba-iba ang forte ng abilidad or skills ng bawat bansa. So if you're going to see the skills of Canadians against Filipinos, ano yung pagkakaiba ng gawa ng Pilipino sa kanila?
Pagkakaiba, I don't know the difference kung malaki or maliit. I think everybody has unique skill set and unique take on the project. Mga kaibigan ko dito sa Canada, if we're talking about competition, meron silang, if you guys follow people like Simon Lam, Nicholas Tiada Sanchez, or even Gunpla enthusiast Ryan Lau, amazing builder sila. The focus really is on detail and uniqueness of the kit. Unfortunately, I only know a handful of Filipino builders. I wish there was more that I could say, hey, I'm following this one. So a couple of Filipino builders I would say that I follow off the top of my head. The winner of 2017 is our Mark Drans, my friends over at PGY. And I think that there is still a skill gap between Canada and Philippines. I would say that Philippines is still getting more and more into it, getting more details and kit bashing and all that stuff. Whereas Canada, I think we're very westernized in regards to style, unless you're an Asian background. So a lot of the styles here, I think, are from this is just my observation, and I could be 100% wrong. A lot of people tend to look at the way armies are like here, like they're from tanks or they're from westernized media, if you will. So the difference I think in style might be apparent, but they use the same base, right? They still use the Gunpla base, they still use the mecha look to it. I think the difference also is because here a lot of them focus still on mecha design, whereas Asia, and I'm just talking in general, Asia, from my observation, there's a lot of mythological backgrounds they use in this technique. So if you look at the Japanese or even Asian, they will try to use the influence of like creatures like dragons or fish or like samurai swords and all that stuff as part of their build, which I think is part of the difference, right? You don't want everything to look the same, and I think having that difference is good so that people could think outside the box. They could think, oh, Asia did this, or hey, Canada did this, or America did this, and I think having that diversity is good.
And also, when I saw the works of Mr. Eugene Tejada, especially his Easy 8, that's one of my iconic works that I saw from him. So,
Yeah.
what do you think? Do you think Filipinos can, in your own perception, that can go further or makakaya ba ng
Oh, kaya
Pilipino?
kayang-kaya talaga. I mean, like if we look at the style of, again, Sir Mark, I'm just making him as a reference because I think his work was actually really interesting. It's very like Transformers based. Like there's a lot of parts. It doesn't look like a Gundam, but it looks really cool, right? So I think
Pero nung nakita mo yung works niya, so do you find it na nung nakita mo yung nag-champion na Filipino si Mark Christian Vegevillo, do you find that as a motivation to our Filipinos na
absolutely
mag-strive?
it should be. It should be. Filipinos made a statement at that night here when we were watching it live, and it was announced that Philippines won, and we saw the flag. We're like, yes, kabayan, you did it. So we were very, very happy about that, and it was very influential. I think so. I think there should be more people, obviously not copying his work, but hopefully motivated enough to do their own unique take on their projects.
So what about your comments about, syempre, tayong mga Pilipino, suportado tayo sa ating kababayan na si Sir Mark Christian Medjavilla at that time. So what about doon sa mga kapwa nating Pilipino that criticize Mark Christian works? Kasi sinasabi, hindi naman yan Gundam, that's a Transformer, hindi siya accurate doon sa competition. So what are your thoughts about that?
So I don't know what the comments are. I've only heard, obviously I don't follow it 100%, but there's always going to be people that will not be satisfied with either the results or the work. And that's okay. They're free to think whatever they want. I'm not going to tell people what to think or what to say. Is his work good? According to the judges, it is. I think it's unique. I think it's different, and I think that's what they're looking for: something that's different, something that's unique. Is it Gundam? It's his interpretation of what Gundam could be. So I think to me, it's his art and it's his skill. So I don't think there is any right or wrong answer, but like the fact that he won means that it pleased someone in the judges and he met the requirements to win.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
if anything, it should be questioned. It'd be more of the guideline. Is it enforced? How is it judged? I don't
Mhm.
think it should be taken out on the artist that, obviously met the requirements for it.
Hmm. Tsaka 'di ba siyempre bilang Pilipino parang napakasakit sa atin 'yun 'di ba na kung sino
Mhm.
pa yung nag-work hard para sa atin para maitaguyod ang
Yeah,
bansa, parang 'yun pa
yeah.
yung mangyayari, kapwa Pilipino pa natin hahatakin tayo pababa,
Talagang unfortunate na may mga taong ganun. I don't think that it is fair to criticize someone based on, you know, their like it's okay to voice your opinion, but obviously naman think about like, how do you help people? Like if you want to voice your opinion, do the work. Show your example. What do you think is gonna be it? Because like he showed his work. He brought his game. He
mm.
showed what he could do and people liked it, right? The people that
Mhm.
are like hating on him, let's see your work. Like
Mhm.
paano gagawin nyo? Are you any good or are you any better? Right? Like can you
Mhm.
meet the requirements to win?
Mhm.
So
So,
there's a little bit of like,
siyempre since napag-usapan na natin yung mga ganyang bagay, so let's dig deeper into our
ay
conversation. So
nako.
let's go.
Okay.
So let's go for a no holds barred conversation.
Sure,
So
okay.
siyempre sir, sa mga bagay kasi na yan, so nabanggit mo nga na may mga tao talaga na sadya talagang hindi natin mapi-please eh. So if you're going to compare the community of Canada against sa community ng Filipino, so what do you think are the advantages ng Canadians against the Filipinos? Why are they
Absolutely.
successful?
Number one, we're not as toxic.
Mhm. Mhm.
No, no. By that I mean I think a lot of Canadians support Canada builders. I'm
Mhm.
very proud of my friends that enter competition. Again, shout out to like Simon Lamb, Ryan Lau,
Mhm.
Nicholas Tejada Sanchez, just to name a few, because I interact with them on a daily basis, and they're really amazing builders.
Mhm.
They might have some comments from people that like oh, that looks like shit, or like that looks like a bad thing.
Mhm.
But I don't see or feel any toxicity in the Canadian community.
Mhm. Mhm.
There might be some disagreements, but it's
Mhm.
not to a point where it's like calling them names or making threats or allegations to their work.
Mhm.
In Philippines, though, I mean, I've seen only a handful of people really complaining about the
Mhm.
work or complaining about the results. So it's there, I think, in both locations. I just don't feel, or I don't really mind them. They could complain all they want, but like I don't really get phased by a lot of the comments, especially to my work. I mean, I post my work
Mhm.
also in other places, right? So it's
Do
not
you
like
think pero do you think, Sir Ariel, if you're going to talk about it psychologically, do you think, being toxic are the reasons why Filipinos are not, getting on the top?
I don't know if that's a big factor. It is a factor. I think if people say negative things about a person's work, that it would demotivate
Mhm.
people, because I think it just comes down to how people react to it, right? So if
Mhm.
someone says, "Oh, your work is bad," to me,
Mhm.
in my younger self would be like, "Yeah, you're right. I'm not gonna do this again." But obviously, I've grown a bit more mature and I have a little bit different thinking.
Mhm.
I will accept his comment. Oh, you think it's bad? Then I will ask, well, how do I improve? I
Mhm.
think a lot of people get offended too quickly and take it personally. I'm not
Mhm.
defending toxicity. I'm not defending haters. I'm just saying that like
Mhm.
it's up to you. You have control over how you feel, right? So
Mhm.
it's up to you to either take negative criticism
Mhm.
negatively, or take
Mhm.
and understand the negative criticism and improve upon yourself, or like
Mhm.
or even ignore it, right?
Mhm.
Um, is Sorry, what was the question? Like, let's go back to the core question. Let me try to answer that.
So, sir, for my question, siyempre, sir, 'di ba, na about criticisms na pinag-uusapan natin.
Mhm. Right.
So, sir, 'di ba, in your own
Oh.
in your own experience, siyempre, 'di ba, hindi mawawala yung kritisismo sa buhay natin, eh.
Mhm.
Minsan nga, troll pa nga, sisirain talaga buhay mo, eh. So, siyempre,
Yeah.
kung pag-uusapan natin na ang katotohanan, tinatawag na truth slap sa buhay natin, sa mga nanonood, nasa sa inyo na yan kung tatanggapin niyo 'to. Pero para sa'yo, Sir Ariel, sa tagal mo sa hobby, may mga taong talagang sadya talagang sinisira ang buhay mo, may mga taong ayaw sa'yo despite you're doing good. Pero para sa'yo, how do you overcome those bashers or trolls sa buhay mo? And nag-e-enjoy ka pa rin sa
Oh, absolutely. Good question. Great question. I really like that question a lot. The reason why is because I think, for me anyways, I don't really mind haters or trolls. I've had my fair share of like people commenting of, you know, some of the comments that I got, that I could remember. To me, that was kind of like, that's kind of hateful or whatever. Like I
Mhm,
stream too much, or like I'm
mhm,
taking over time slots from other people.
mhm,
I only post whip pics, or I only post snap builds.
mhm,
I my younger self would be really offended by that and going like, well, no, it's not. It's my favorite thing. I
mhm,
I just stopped caring as much
mhm,
about the haters, because
mhm,
if you feed haters, they will grow and grow. However,
mhm,
I hate conflict, but I will approach conflict right away. The reason
mhm,
why I approach conflict is, there's a quote that I heard a long time ago. A prolonged conflict is a
mhm,
multiplied conflict.
mhm,
Ang meaning doon, if you don't confront them right away, it will
mhm,
build up. It will keep
mhm,
building up until it's too big to control. So to me,
mhm,
if somebody has an issue or has a misunderstanding or disagreement with me, let's talk it out right now. Right now, let's go. Let's talk
mhm,
about it, because I don't want this to go any further. Okay, so what's the issue? What's wrong? And that's how I
mhm,
approach work as well. Like, let's solve the problem here. Ano bang problema natin? Bakit ganito tayo, right?
mhm,
So I try to resolve conflict as fast as I can. I don't run away from any type of conflict, but I will try to find a resolve and understanding. I think
mhm,
yung mga haters or trolls or bashers, they do this because of many reasons that we'll never understand. I think
mhm,
there's a lot of stuff going on in their head, or maybe in their lives, that make them do this. And
mhm,
it's not my job to fix them. It's not my job to, police them or anything like that. But if need be to confront, I'll understand. Like, I want to know why
mhm,
we're doing this, and let me see if I can help you. Not every conflict will result in a positive outcome. There will be sometimes na talagang hindi tayo fit, and that's it. the
mhm.
I'll just block you. Like, that's the
But,
only thing, right? Like,
Sir, siyempre, sa buhay kasi ng bawat industriya, meron talagang mga trolls eh, may mga
mhm,
bashers talaga eh. Pero
yeah.
in your own perception, why do you think they exist? May possible ba na may galit ba sila sa'yo? May possible ba na may pinagdadaanan ba sila? Psychologically, what do you think are the reasons why they exist?
I think a combination of all of that. May mga hirap sa buhay nila, or meron silang maraming iniisip na parang hindi para sa kanila, or like, maybe there's a lot of stuff that we will never understand. That's the worst part. It's like we could only guess. Pero I really hope that they find their purpose or their happiness, kasi it feels like there's a lot of hurt inside that
Inggit? May
they're.
inggit? May part ba na may inggit do'n?
I would say konti siguro, may inggit or may selos or may, parang envy sa mga ginagawa ninyo na hindi nila na-achieve. And it's
Mhm,
it's kind of like our job too to set an example, right?
mhm,
As a person of has a stake in the hobby, or not a stake, but like, I have a
mhm,
passion for the hobby. I try
mhm,
to influence people to be positive, or like at least lead by example. Like,
mhm,
I don't mind getting called out, or being um, criticized, but I want to also learn and grow. And I think by bashing others is not something I would do, so I can't really relate why they would do it.
But a question, Sir Ariel, do you think there is a part of those bashers that they have a significance in this world?
Significance?
Mhm,
The significance of bashers is there to enforce you that you're doing the right thing. So I think haters. It's funny because, like, when I first got haters when I was posting my stuff, I felt
mhm,
validated, because like, hey,
mhm,
someone hates me. This is great. I love it. Somebody out there is letting me live in their head rent
mhm,
free. So to me, yeah, okay, cool. I have a new space in someone's head.
And also that means if there's someone who is criticizing you, sabi nga, if they're criticizing you, if they hate you, it means you're doing a great job. If
Yeah,
they're not criticizing you, it means
yeah,
you're not doing something for.
I think these days in modern times that if you don't have a hater, you're not validated. So the minute you have haters, you are validated. It's
Well,
such a
that's the
weird
reality.
concept. It's a weird concept.
Mhm. So, syempre, when we talk about bashers, when we talk about toxicity in this industry, ayaw na ayaw pag-usapan ng tao yan eh. Gusto nila sa comment lang eh. And I don't know kung may mga tao talaga sadyang dun lang rin na-express to comments. So, para sa'yo, Sir Ariel, since na matagal ka na nakaka-experience ng ganyan, may mga tao kasi nga, may mga nagko-comments, lalo na sa mga nagtatanong, di ba? Paaning ganito, paaning ganyan. There are some that are approaching you. You don't know kasi sa comments eh, kasi hindi mo naramdaman yung emotions kung galit ba, kung
Yeah,
masaya ba sila.
that's the thing with like text. You can't
Mhm.
really feel 100% ang delivery nila. Are they being
Mhm.
sarcastic? Are they being funny? Are they being
Yes.
sincere?
So
Right?
halimbawa sir, may mga nagko-comments
Mm.
para sa iyo. Pag sa mga halimbawa in the way of educating, how would you know if yung comment para sa iyo is educating or insulting?
Here's an example of insult. Your work is shit. Example of criticism. I really like how you did this. However, you could probably improve upon it by doing this, this, and that. So if
Mhm.
a person finds fault and not provide a solution or suggestion, then
Mhm.
you learn nothing from it. So when I comment, sometimes if I like it, I will say, nice, it's a good job. I really like what you did. But if I don't like something, I'm not going to go in like, oh, it looks bad, it looks horrible. I'll be like, hey, I like what you did. Like, I'll point out what I like, and I'll also point out, hey, I noticed that there's a seam line here. Hey, I noticed that um, for you to get a better pose, maybe you should raise the arm up, tilt the head this way.
Mhm.
Education is a very powerful influence to people because they learn something from that. And a lot of
Mhm.
people, I don't think, articulate their thoughts in a positive way, especially for bashers. And they're just out there to be negative about it, which
Mhm.
sucks because you're
Mhm.
not really helping anyone. But for you, if you get a negative, like I said, if you get a negative comment, it's up to you to either accept it or ignore it.
Mhm. So, siyempre sa mga ganyan, hindi kasi talaga maiiwasan 'yan, eh.
Mhm.
Kahit anong gawin mong education kasi sa talaga sa
Yeah.
tao, nandiyan at nandiyan 'yan, eh. Pero ang maganda na kasi sa kanila kaya ako natatanong kung may significance sila, kasi 'di ba may part din naman sa kanila na nakatulong sila sa'yo sa buhay mo, eh. Lalo na
Yeah,
kung alam mong
nakatulong sila
nasa
na
tama, 'di ba?
validate that they validated me. I have haters. Great.
Kaya
No,
kumbaga
they're significant. I don't
mhm,
think significant is the word to use for that one. I
mhm,
think they are part of the ecosystem
mhm.
because there's going to be people that wants to voice out their negative thoughts. Unfortunately, they are in the platform that we share with them. So it's
Kasi 'di
kind of like
ba
a
if we're going to educate our viewers, 'di ba?
mm,
Kapag sinabi kasing trolls, 'pag sinabi kasing bashers, they're going to think about it, negatively na, eh. Pero siyempre kung malawak ang pag-iisip mo, iisipin mo bakit may gano'n sila, eh. Kumbaga kailangan mo ring
yeah,
isipin din yung welfare nila. Bakit bina-bash nila yung mga tao? There's a purpose. Hindi naman puwedeng mang-bash sila ng walang dahilan, 'di ba?
yeah. I think their purpose is many reasons. We'll never understand what it is. To get reaction, for them to be
Mhm,
validated, to voice their god complex kind of like input. I don't know. There's many factors to that one, and we can't control it.
mhm. So, siyempre napag-usapan naman natin 'yan. So, to proceed with our question. So, ang akin naman tatanungin is, these are my compilation of words. Itong compilation of words na 'to, sa mga nakapanood ng aking mga previous episodes, alam na nila 'to. So, kaya ko inuulit-ulit para malaman natin yung mga bawat opinyon ng tao sa community. So sa'yo sir, ito yung compilation na salita na nai-compile ko, pati rin sa mga previous guests na natutunan ko rin. So what are your thoughts about this? So is it okay if I start?
Yes, go for it.
Okay. So this is my first word. Sir Ariel, so wala kang karapatan na mag-showcase ng ano mo, ng mga collections mo. Wala 'yan sa akin kasi wala ka pang salawal na sa hobby na ako.
Hmm.
So
Okay,
what are your
thank you.
thoughts about that?
My thoughts on that one. Sure. Good job. Okay, I don't really. It doesn't help me, so therefore, to me, it's just background noise. So I'll just say thank you for your opinion. I hope you find enjoyment in other posts. Like,
Mhm.
there's no really. You can't convince someone if they've already made up their mind, right? So to
Mhm.
me, it's more of an acceptance of their opinion and move on.
Mhm.
So
Pero para sa'yo, nung time na yun, kung gagawin natin siyang in real life, ikaw nasa kalagayan nun, para sa'yo, parang feeling mo ba parang mukha kang hampas lupa? Sa ganun.
no, if it was if Meijin Kawaguchi say that to me, maybe I'll feel something. If it's
Mhm.
some random person that I don't know anything about and they say that to me, I'm like, okay, cool. Sino siya sa akin, right? So bakit ako magre-react kung sino siya sa akin?
Mhm. So, since nabanggit ko na itong word na 'to, so this is my next word para sa'yo. So, eto, nabanggit ko rin 'to sa previous guest ko. So, related din 'to sa first na nasabi ko. So, Sir Ariel, may pambili kang Gunpla, may pambili ka ng laruan, pero wala kang pambiling brief.
Pero walang pambili ng brief. Hindi naman ako hindi naman ako nagsusot ng brief kaya nakasave ako sa pera dun eh. Yung brief parang
Careful
ano
naman
lang,
na.
pang restriction lang yung sa akin. Free to, commando to. Woo!
Pero sa tingin mo, in real life, sa tingin mo, does it make sense na may mga gano'n talaga?
May mga ganun talagang mga tao. Ako rin dati, yung kahit konting pera ko, ini-spend ko nga sa hobby eh. Kaya alam ko
Mhm.
talaga ang feeling na yung comment na yon.
Mhm.
Maraming tao rin na, especially yung talagang addict, for lack of better words, na
Mhm.
yun ang gagawin nila kahit wala silang bagong damit pero meron silang bagong model kit.
Mhm.
Masaya na sila. So, understand ko merong mga taong ganun. Ako rin dati, ganun din ako eh. Kaya, okay lang yung comment na yun. Like, okay, cool. Bibili lang ako
Mhm.
ng brief next day. Kung makikita niyo yung brief ko pala eh.
So, since nabanggit mo na yung first and second, this is my third. So, this answer is nanggaling to kay Mr. Ryan Gutierrez. So, this is my previous guest sa Usapang Hobby.
Okay.
So, naniniwala ka ba sa perception na to? Na sa mga collector, minsan, nakasabay ng paglaki ng koleksyon, ang paglaki ng ulo.
Ang ganda ng question na yun. Paano kaya
Mhm.
i-answer yan?
Mhm.
Lalaki ba ang ulo mo kung lalaki ang collection? Depende sa tao.
Mhm.
I think that remember sinabi ko kanina yung mga backlog posts tsaka yung mga haul
Mhm.
posts, marami yung ganun. Yung mga tao,
Mhm.
yun ang i-relate ko sa topic na yan.
Mhm.
Kasi yung mga tao na bumibili ng mahal na kits or maraming kits,
Mhm.
parang gusto nila talaga i-share sa world yung binili nila or yung mga backlogs nila. Yun ang mga tao na sabihin ko na parang malaki ang ulo, or lumalaki yung ulo. On top of, kung talagang like, hindi, sorry, let me rephrase that. May mga taong ganon na mag-show off lang yung mga binili nila kasi
Mhm.
ang laki ng collection namin o ang laki ng binili ko. Yun ang mga tao na malalaki ang ulo. Pero naman yung
Mhm.
mga tao na ito is my first buy or this is my first, yung genuine na talagang excited for the kit, hindi naman
Mhm.
sila malaki ang ulo doon. Kaya perception din ng mga tao yung kung paano i-read yung mga post nila. Malaking
Pero
collection,
if you're going to read, pero if you're going to read, kasi iba kasi yung by actual sa social media.
yeah,
So, by educating our viewers, how would you define if that person is only sharing her collections to bragging his
to
collection?
bragging.
Mhm.
If they sometimes I relate it with how they interact with people. So if they
Mhm.
share something without interacting with other people, to me that's kind of bragging.
Mhm.
So kung mag-share ka ng collection mo, I think it's also good to understand others' collection. So when I post something that I'm proud of or like kung wari, mag-take ako ng picture ng collection ko ngayon, ipopost ko
Mhm.
yan. Kung
Mhm.
ipopost ko lang yung picture, sabi ko, here's my collection, parang perception ng talagang malaki ang ulo ko.
Mhm.
Pero
Mhm.
I'm not like that at all. Kung ipopost ko yung collection ko, sabihin ko lang, hey guys, this is what I've been collecting. What
Mhm.
do you guys collect in your collection? Because I want to understand people. There has to be a reason why I would post stuff, and I always try to interact with people because I want to know what they're about. If I'm gonna tell them
Mhm.
what I'm about, I want to know what they're about. So every time I
Mhm.
post something, there's always a question at the end. what do you guys think? What are you doing this weekend? What's in your collection? What's in
Saka
your
kasi 'di ba
backlog?
yan ang problema sa social media, 'di ba? Walang emotions eh. Kaya hindi mo alam kung ano yung thoughts nila. Eh.
Yeah, and it's kind of a skill that people develop over time. So if people don't develop that, then they're gonna be taken the wrong way. There's I've seen a lot of people post stuff without any context, so it's hard to read. Is it showing off? Is it sharing? Is it educational? So if you the more clear you are with your words and expression of the words, there is expression, but it has to be on the words. That's how you would communicate if it's showing off or sharing.
Tsaka sir, 'di ba ano, sa mga ganyan 'di ba, hindi mawawala kasi yung mga ganong pagka halimbawa may mga thoughts na gano'n, hindi kasi maiwasan na iba yung iisipin, eh, 'di ba? 'Pag
Mhm.
halimbawa magpo-post ka na may intention ka to share, pero iba iisipin intention to brag. May mga
Yeah,
gano'n, 'di ba?
yeah, and the thing is like the people that it goes both ways, right? So if I'm posting to share, and the other person, it's up to the other person too to understand, is it bragging or is it sharing, right? So you have to educate yourself too to understand, is it bragging or is it sharing? Then it
Mhm.
comes down to you as your perception on it.
Pero naniniwala ka rin 'di ba na minsan kung sa aktuwal naman, may mga minsan talagang may mga tao 'di ba na minsan kapagka nakakatikim na ng koleksyon 'di ba minsan kahit na sabihin mong nakailang koleksyon na siya minsan 'di ba may mga taong parang akala mo they're very superior. May mga gano'n ka na-encounter na tao?
Yeah, may maraming tao na rin ako na naranasan na ganun sila, na bibili sila
Mhm,
ng pinakamaraming kits or pinakamahal na kits, and o ito yung collection ko, ano yung nasa inyo, pakita niyo sa akin. That's
mhm,
kind of that's bragging, and to me, I like I said, they're just background noise because they're not adding anything of value to me.
mhm,
I don't really care because I probably have his collection. It's not like I'm jealous of him. I just don't say
mhm.
that I have it, right?
Tsaka minsan
I
sir 'di ba parang mas ano pa, eh, mas mukhang dominant pa yung tahimik, eh, kaysa sa maingay, eh. Kasi sa
Oh,
tahimik dun mo
absolutely,
malalaman kung
absolutely.
kolektor, eh.
Absolutely. There's a lot of people that keep quiet because they enjoy their collecting. So, and that's the double-edged sword of social media, right?
Mhm,
The ones that are loud sometimes are not right, and sometimes the quiet ones are like the ones that are actually decent
mhm,
people and have good collection. So it
mhm,
comes down to, I think, whatever we could control, that's what we should focus on. We can't control other people's thoughts or what they post,
mhm,
but you have
mhm.
control over what you feel and how you think.
Mhm. So, this is my next word naman na na-compile ko. So, eto naman. So, this is about bootleg. So, yung mga third party. So, eto yung sasabihin ko. Sir Ariel, wag ka na magkolekta ng bootleg. Walang kwenta yan. Walang value yan. Walang mangyayari sa'yo kung magbo-bootleg ka. Walang bilang sa mundo yan. Ang nagbo-bootleg panghampas lupa lang. So, ano masabi?
Oh my God.
Mhm.
I think there's a place for bootleg and third party. I think
Mhm.
that they exist for a couple of reasons. One, there are people there that can't afford our hobby. It's an expensive
Mhm.
hobby. If you saw
Mhm.
my collection and total up how much money I spent on that,
Mhm.
talagang maraming pera yan.
Mhm.
Bootlegs are affordable and third parties are affordable. Do I
Mhm.
support them? I support them if you're making art out of them and if that's all you could afford. I don't support bootleg straight copy because I think number one, it's poor materials, poor quality. There's going to be a lot
Mhm.
of work on it. You're saving money, yes, but you're losing quality. I think
Mhm.
supporting your local business and your local, not local, the actual brand itself is
Mhm.
better in the long run. Less perwisyo for you kasi talagang fit yung mga piyesa niya.
Mhm.
And third party, I support. I support 100% because they're unique.
Mhm.
Bootleg I'll probably use them for parts, but I don't openly uh, go for them because
Mhm.
number one, I could afford. I could
Mhm.
actually afford decent ones, but like for
Mhm.
people who can't afford it, I understand the purpose of why they
Mhm.
exist. Do
Mhm.
people need to voice their opinion like that? No, I think everybody has the freedom to choose whatever they want.
Mhm.
So if people want to decide to buy bootleg or third party, that's their decision, and that is
Mhm.
okay. Like that comment is from someone that probably collects only licensed everything and has money, and he wants to make people buy the stuff that he's buying or they're buying, he, she, whoever it is.
So, kumbaga
And
parang nag-aano lang siya, na nanlalason lang siya pero in a negative way.
yeah, exactly. Kung gusto niya magtulong sa talaga, like he should just, or he or she should just recommend, hey, if instead of buying third party, there's a store here that's actually cheaper, you could go there and buy licensed products. If that's how I would say it. Pero kung outright na sasabihin na huwag kang bibili ng ganyan, it's kind of like huwag kang bibili ng tubig galing dyan. Dapat itong tubig na gagawin mo kasi ito yung iniinom ko. It's kind of like that na bibilin mo lang kung anong bibilin nila kind of feel. So I think everybody should have the freedom to do it. If they have the resources and the ability to get whatever they want, up to you. Go for it.
Yan. So, pagkatapos naman netong napag-usapan natin, so usapan naman tayo sa tungkol sa seller. Usapang impulse buying. So, syempre impulse buying.
Nako, impulse buying.
Yes, impulse buying. Syempre ang impulse buying kasi talagang nasa kultura na natin yung mga collector eh. Na lalo na kapag gusto natin yung item, kulang na lang utangin natin eh. Sa mga ibang tao utangin natin.
Depende yan, depende.
Natin, eh. Oo. Pero para sa iyo, Sir Ariel, kasi syempre, 'di ba, nakikita ko kasi na kumbaga you're contented on what you have eh. Kumbaga, if you want that item, hindi mo mamadaliin, you're not rushing on anything. Pero do you think it is good na kailangan mo pang mangutang para matugunan mo yung gusto mo? Kasi 'di ba may mga taong nasisira ang pagkakaibigan ng dahil sa utang.
I have a story for that one. Hindi ako nag-utang. I've never utang para bumili ng any kit. Kung hindi ko kaya, hindi ko bibilin. Have I impulse buy? Many, many times. I impulse buy frequently. I am very bad at impulse buying. That was the problem. The solution was I need more money. So I focused on getting work and getting the resources so that if I do impulse buy, there's a portion of my money that's dedicated to go impulse buy. I'm allowing myself to impulse buy because it is a feeling of gratification that you got something new, that dopamine hit, Parang talagang feel mo na-accomplish mo na, ang ganda nito, impulse buy talaga, todo to. But in regards to, sorry, back to your question about mag-uutang ka para bumili. I have not done that, pero mayroon akong kaibigan na nag-utang sa akin. Siyang pinabili sa akin yung gusto niya. So binili ko yung gusto niya. Binili ko sa kanya, Tapos kailan mo ko weekend. Sabi niya, next week ang sweldo ko next week. Sabi ko, okay, next week. Tinawagan siya, tol, kailangan ko na yung pera ko. Kailan ako bibili. Ay, tol, may kulang ako, may kailangan ko pa. 2 weeks from now. Sabi niya, kaibigan ko naman, meron naman akong pera. Okay, 2 weeks.
Yan. So,
oh my
sir,
God, one month later.
Tapos sir, may nag-comment din sa ating podcast. Ito ay si Mr. Philip Charles Ibanez. So what are your thoughts about his comment? Unti-unti marirealize yun na sayang lang pambili nyo ng laruan. So what are your thoughts about this comment?
Eventually, yeah, I think everything has its own value. Sa sayang bang, at the time when you bought it, you won't realize that. Maybe later on, that's when you really realize it. The sooner you understand and accept the consequences of buying something, there is consequence in buying. So when you understand the consequences and you accept that risk, then it's no one's to blame but yourself. But for me, I'm already committed. I know I'm going to lose money. I know my money's going to be wasted. But that's why I also put a portion of my money for like just waste money, which is a bad thing to have. I'm not saying it's a positive thing, but that's for me. And I'm sure other people have their own thing on that one. But do you lose money on toys? Yeah, absolutely. I agree with your sentence. Do you understand that buying it? I understand it buying it, but not a lot of people do. A lot of people have regret buys. A lot of people, when they do impulse buys, they do regret buys later on. That's why you see them back on eBay the next week trying to sell that model kit, trying to sell that Transformer, trying to sell that Ultraman, because they did not realize that they're not going to like it forever.
And how about how about naman dito sa sinabi niya? Ngayon, ang tingin ko na lang sa laruan ay basura. How about this one?
Yeah, I mean, if that's what you like, or how you see it, that's up to you. Maybe if you don't like it anymore, give it to someone who will like it. That's what I've been doing to my Transformers collection. So I have more Transformers than that, but I don't have room for it. Basura is a very strong word. I think that, you know, that saying, one man's trash is another person's treasure. I tried, when I'm done with my kits or my Transformers or my toys or whatever, I donate them to either friends or the church or the thrift store, because somebody else can enjoy it. I enjoyed it already.
So ibig sabihin hindi mo siya masasabing basura. May
I
nangyayari pa
don't
ring
think, I think meron silang bagay, pero kung hindi na para sa iyo, bigay mo naman sa tao na ma-enjoy. I think
kaysa
that's the
sabihin mo
best
ng
thing you can do.
basura. Di ba? Kaysa sabihin mong basura, di ba? Ibigay mo
Kesa
na sa
sabihin mong basura or treat it basura. Kung basura, edi bakit may kikip pa? Get rid of it.
So sir, syempre sa impulse buying kasi, 'di ba? Go back to impulse buying.
Sure.
Kasi 'di ba tayo, except kumbaga maliban sa utang, meron ding iba kasi na bumibili out of hype. So, what are your thoughts about that, na bumibili lang out of hype tapos at the end of the day, di mo na pala na-enjoy yung bili?
I've experienced that way too many times. I have a lot of model kits that I would say was hype because I was very excited to build them, to own them, to buy them. But I was so disappointed when I built them. Actually, one of my recent builds, I was disappointed because I wanted to like it. I really wanted to enjoy it. But after building it, it kept falling apart. It was like a hand grenade, and I did not enjoy it. It will happen. It's part of the consequence. Remember, I said that there's consequences and risk when you're buying something. Do I have regret buys? I have a lot of regret buys. So the only solution to that is either one, acceptance. So you accept that you've lost money, you've lost time, you've lost this kit. Number two would be like, well, how do I get it back? So sometimes, like I said, I just either give it, donate it, or sell it, or repurpose it. Sometimes I use it for my kit bash. So I try to find a solution for a problem almost all the time. So that's why I can't say that they're trash. I can't say that they're useless. They're useful, just not for me.
So, 'di ba, syempre, may mga tao kasi minsan sa impulse buying. So, kasama na rin yung business eh. May mga talaga nag-i-impulse buy eh. So, ito yung tanong ko rin sa'yo, 'di ba, sa pagbibili kasi natin ng laruan, especially tayo mga batang 80s or 90s, nakasanayan na kasi natin na pag binubuksan natin yung laruan, ilalaro na natin eh. We don't give a damn kung authentic man yun o hindi. Tatapon natin yung packaging, ilalaro lang natin yung gusto natin. Pero ngayon kasi, na which is na tinatanong ko rin sa mga previous guests ko, para malaman ko lang yung opinion mo rin, na may nawawala kasing element eh, sa pagkokolekte, na yun yung paglalaro. Kasi 'di ba, pagka binibili kasi minsan yung mga laruan, especially kapag talagang hype yung character, dumarating na minsan na hindi na nila na-manage na laruin. Na kapag lumilipas ang taon, na kapag binubuksan na natin yung laruan pagkalipas ng mga after 10 or 20 years, magugulat na lang tayo.
Ang tagal naman, 10 or 20 years, ang tagal naman ng storage.
Pagpalagay natin, let's just say na may mga box collectors, di ba? Na they don't want to open their figures for investment purposes. So, what are your thoughts about that, 'di ba? Na nawawala yung elemento ng paglalaro. Kumbaga, kaya lang nila binibili yung laruan just to sell it. So, what are your thoughts about that?
Personal experience, yes, I've experienced that. I was that type of person that would buy it for business purposes or like investment purposes. Because in my head, the more I collect rare items, I could put it in storage later on. It will double in price, triple in price, and I'll be rich. It doesn't work like that at all. It's almost like a false hope. I mean, there's a small percentage that you will make money out of that, but if that is not your business and your intent is to sell it 10, 20 years later, it's a bad investment, I think. Because when I was selling my kits, when I needed the money, like I mentioned, like 2013, 15, around that time, I needed the money. I couldn't sell the kits for the price in my head that I wanted to be, which is like double the price, triple the price, because it's rare. Instead, I learned that people are cheap. I'm cheap because I don't want to spend money. and you actually may lose money just trying to get rid of them. There's a couple of things to factor in. One, it's taking up space in your home to keep them in their boxes. I don't have a lot of big space to put them, but I collected so much. Like, imagine that back wall was completely filled with just boxes. It's unhealthy to be too much in one thing. Number two, the money you make is very little. But the most important part of why I think that's not going to work, it's the time it will take for you to sell it. The time for you to think about how much minutes and hours you're going to put taking a photo, posting it, waiting for people to buy it, negotiating, meeting up with people. And then when you meet up, they're going to say, oh, I don't want to buy it, right? You've just wasted a whole day, like say 7 hours, 12 hours of your personal time, your mental capacity, and your, just your body preparing for this $20 sale.
That's a fact.
Like there is no advantage unless you're a store that like, hey, here's my stuff. I don't think that it is a sustainable business or investment.
So, syempre, 'di ba, sa mga ganong collectors, 'di ba, na doon na kasi natin makikita para sa iyo, doon mo na ba nakikita kung gaano kalaki ang innovation ng pagkokolekta compared sa golden ages?
The successful ones have good understanding of the market and the business. The ones that are not as educated, I feel, will struggle to move their investment.
So, dito sir, sa pagkokolekta, hindi rin kasi natin, 'di ba, may iwasan na magkaroon tayo ng doubts, 'di ba, dahil sa social media. Dati kasi wala tayong social media, bukas lang tayo ng bukas, we're happy with that.
Kaya wala akong mga kaibigan dati kasi walang social media.
Oo, walang social media. Pero do you think the effects dahil nawawala yung elemento ng paglalaro dahil din sa impluwensya rin ng social media na sabi na wag mong bubuksan to, tatasin pa nito?
That's a good question. For me, I'm not influenced by social media if I was to open it or not. I would actually I've opened my Transformers, obviously, you've seen it. I haven't played with them in a while, but they're open and I display them and I like them. The social media have influence on people, maybe to some people, but not all people. I think if people want to play with their toys or open their boxes, they will. I don't think it's influenced at all by social media.
Tsaka sir, 'di ba, tama ba yung opinion ko, 'di ba? Syempre, 'di ba, pag meron kasing ibang laruan, 'di ba, especially pag mga MOC or mint on card na talagang blister type, na lalo na pag lumipas ang 20 taon, mga 10 taon, 'di ba? May times sa may mga laruan na kapag binuksan mo, kala mo okay pero sira na dahil na rin sa quality. 'Di ba? Nagtatagal sila pag nagtatagal.
Plastic deteriorates, yeah.
So, tsaka sir, 'di ba, naniniwala ka ba sa ganitong kasabihan na mas maganda na nasira na yung laruan ng nilalaro mo kaysa sa hindi mo nilaro na pagbukas mo sira na?
Absolutely. I support that 100%. Like I said, if you like it, buy it, use it, and enjoy it. Now is the right time. There's no better time than now to enjoy it.
So, since nabanggit mo na yan, so let's talk about business pa rin. It's still business. Nandito pa rin tayo sa business Kasi
business talaga. Business.
Talagang talagang ang sentro talaga ng community is the market Dahil kung walang market, wala tayong toys. Am I right? So, let's talk about these people na tinatawag natin yung mga scalper or yung mga sniper na tinatawag. Siyempre sa Canada, you're experiencing that, especially Transformers. Kasi 'di ba may mga ibang collectors na paglalimbawa nag-a-announce ang isang toys, for example si Toys R Us na sinasabi na maglalabas ng limited edition na ganito, maglalabas ng limited edition na ganyan, that is only available for 500 slot, 200 slot, 300 slot. Ngayon, pagka pumila ka, may makikita kang meron nasa harap mo. Pagpalagay natin 2 scalper, papakyawin yung stock. Pagdating mo, wala ka nang madadatnan. So, what are your thoughts about those scalpers or snipers that taking advantage of those limited editions at ginagawa talaga nilang literal as business, hindi na passion?
So, I'm just trying to think of the best words to do it. Let's describe scalpers first. Scalpers are reselling items that are currently available. Okay. scalpers are reselling items that are currently available. I think that it's unfortunate, but it happens. I'm not a supporter of scalpers. I don't like what they do. I think that it's exploitation of material goods, but it's more so exploitation of people that are weak enough to buy from them, right? But then you have resellers. The resellers are selling items that are no longer available. So there's a lot of people confuse the two, because like a lot of people, oh, this
okay.
kit
So
back in the day.
you correct me with that. So let me construct again my question. How about resellers na
Okay,
talagang
so now that
inuubos
we
nila?
understand, right? Because
Yes,
like a lot of
yes,
people, again, part of what I do is educate as well, and this is from
yes.
personal experience. So I'm
I
glad I
get it,
helped
I
you
get it.
out.
Yes,
So
I get it.
resellers, I think they are okay because they're selling things that people missed out on,
Yes,
and they're selling it for the price that they want to sell it in. What
yes,
I don't
exactly.
support, what I don't support is people. Oh, hang on. Let me rephrase that. I think that people who are willing to pay that much, sure, go for it. But I'm not willing to pay that much for a specific product. There has to be, to me, if I missed it, I'm okay with that. I missed it. That's it. But I'm not buying it for 3 times the price. There's no way.
But do you think, Sir Ariel, for those resellers, taking advantage of that item is for you, that is a negative actions that they're doing with regards to
I think it's a negative action to the buyer. It's not a
Mhm,
negative action to the seller because they're getting 100% profit, right?
mhm,
Or whatever
mhm,
percent profit on it.
mhm,
They exist, yes, and unfortunately, it's part of the market. It's inflated prices on their end because you missed out on buying it during when it's available, right?
mhm, mhm,
Is it right or wrong? I don't think that's the correct question for it. There's, like I said,
mhm,
there's always going to be a reseller for any collection out there: comic books, coins,
mhm,
model kits, transformers. But
mhm.
it's up to you if you could afford it. If you could afford it,
Even in Transformers, may mga na-encounter ka rin ganyan, 'di ba, na talagang
yeah, absolutely,
scalpers
absolutely, yeah.
ay mga resellers actually.
hmm Maraming
So,
resellers of Transformers, and the thing is like,
mhm,
I have bought from resellers before. The thing is like, I in my head, do I want this enough that I'm gonna buy it for this much? So I had to
mhm,
mentally prepare for that, financially prepare for that.
mhm,
But if I want it and I missed it, it's my fault,
mhm,
right? So this is
mhm.
the consequence of missing out when it first released.
Tsaka ano,
Unfortunately,
thankful ako sa'yo, Sir Ariel, at least you educate me. Iba pala ang scalper sa tinatawag na reseller. Iba pala ang meaning nun.
mhm.
Okay. Akala ko, same lang siya. So, I'm thankful for
It
that
depends on
education.
context, right? Resellers are items that either no longer available or like rare, that it's not something you could go to the store and buy it right now.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
scalpers they will buy the current release items and they would sell it while it's still available.
So, sige, let's just say resellers, you don't support resellers. What about
I
scalpers?
Oh,
Halimbawa,
scalpers!
may
I hate
bagong
scalpers.
release. Yan. How about,
I hate scalpers so much,
halimbawa,
man.
sir, naglabas si RG High New.
Yeah.
Sabihin na natin na palitan natin yung background ng RG High New. Gawin nating limited edition. Ang first lot is 150 pieces lang. May
Oh,
scalper na pumunta on that event, nakapila ka. Tapos,
uh,
nandun, dalawang scalper ang nauna sa'yo. Tapos, ang nagulat ka na lang, 150 pieces, naubos. What are your thoughts about that?
well, I would be pissed. I would be pissed that I wasn't in front of the line.
Mhm.
Um, I did, like I said, I don't like scalpers because like I think they disrupt the current market in a
Mhm.
negative way, and
Mhm.
making people feel like they need to buy more of that
So,
same thing.
kumbaga,
And
sir, parang tolerable pa yung reseller kaysa sa scalper.
yes, I think so. For me, yeah. For
Mhm.
me, yeah.
So,
Because
I
scalpers,
apologize.
I like hunting down my own product. So if I have a kit in mind that I want to find,
Mhm.
I'm the
Mhm.
type of guy that will go to many different stores to find it. I will call
Mhm.
my friends. I will call the manager of that store. Hey,
Mhm.
it's Ariel. Same, hindi naman ganun. Pero you know what I mean? Like I will, I'm I'm more of a hunter mentality than a scalper, but like I will use the same scalper technique na saan ba pupunta yung mga maraming products, pupunta ako doon. Or like, sino bang kilala ko dito na pwede ako makabili? Yun ang pupuntahan ko. So, scalper has hunter mentality, but scalpers have business as their end result. I'm a hunter for the toy or the figure or the model kit, but in the intent of owning it. So that's the difference. But the tactics are almost the same if you're a real hunter.
Kumbaga same lang sila ng reseller. Pero thankful ako kasi Sir Ariel, di ba, at least na-educate ang tao na iba ang description ng reseller from scalper. Kasi di ba kahit dito sa bansa, kahit di naman ako minado ako, na parang sa kanila kasi pareho eh. Pareho sila eh.
Yeah, and it's a misconception. It's a very big misconception for sure.
So, di ba, sir, sa mga ganyang bagay, para sa'yo, do you think how are we going to control all those situations na halimbawa na may mga ganyang persons, lalo na kung ikaw you're a diehard fan of that item and you did not succeed on getting that one because of scalpers. So anong may advice mo na just in case they have experience like that na talagang feeling mo parang nagulangan ka or parang nanakawan ka ng buong?
Yeah, it sucks. The feeling really, really sucks because it's something you wanted and you don't have it. Somebody else has it, but they're selling it for a ridiculous amount of price. If I can't try, so with model kits, I know there's going to be reprints. So I usually will wait for the second wave. There's a minimum second wave of printing for those ones. So I just.
Kumbaga Sir Ariel lang kasabihan kung para sa'yo ang bagay, para sa'yo. Kung hindi para sa'yo, hindi talaga.
Hindi para sa akin, okay. Kung para sa akin, tapos nawalan na yung item kasi mga scalpers ang kumuha, hindi masakit sa ulo tsaka sa puso naman yun kasi hindi na nasa akin, hindi ko na-own yun. So, I'm not gonna get mad at scalpers in a way that like I will threaten them or hunt them down. It's I just lost the game. That's it. Move on. So if I can't have it, I'm okay with it. It just means
right
I
time
can't do
na
it.
lang. Hintay ka
Right
na
time, right place, Yeah. I'm over being hurt about something I have no control over, right? So but for me, if I was early enough, sure, I would have gotten it. But living in regret is not healthy either, right? So I don't live in I try not to live in regret, and I try not to think negatively of other people because there's no point. They're living rent-free in my head if that's the case.
So, since na nabanggit na natin yung lahat ng negative, na which is na kailangan kasi natin talagang iparating sa tao talaga sa mga viewers din.
Absolutely.
Na yan kasi yung minsan na kailangan nating harapin na lahat ng mga bagay, hindi naman natin pinag-uusapan to para i-down ang tao na ganito yung mangyayari sa'yo. Hindi. Yun yung kailangan nating banggitin na kailangan natin iparealize sa tao na yun yung mahaharap nila sa buhay nila bilang isang collector na hindi nila maiiwasan na kapalaran nila. Tama ba?
Talaga. Yeah.
So, Sir Ariel, so we are done with the negative. So, let's talk about yourself. So, let's talk about your channel. So, syempre, nakita ko rin na maganda yung naging milestone mo as a AO Mecha of YouTube. So, ano yung nangyari dyan sa sa AO Mecha mo? What was the origin or what was the reason why AO Mecha was developed?
AO Mecha. So Ariel Obtinalla is initial ko, kinuha ko yung AO para i-simplify lang. And Mecha instead of Gunpla kasi marami ng mga tao na Gunpla ang pangalan nila. Ang belief ko sa pangalan na branding ko, number one, AO ako ang brand. Mecha just opens up the categories to not just Gunpla. It's everything mecha related, robot related. That's what I like. As you saw in my collection, I have Transformers, I have Evangelion, I have Gunpla, I have a whole bunch of different interests. But AO Mecha started in the beginning of the pandemic. So this is 2019, mga March, and it was starting to get locked down and all that stuff. Around that time, I helped organize a nationwide Gunpla tournament called Great Canadian Build-Off. And it was the first time that Canada did its own independent model kit competition that's run by community members. I'm part of a community called Side 6, and I contacted different communities around Canada from coast to coast, and we had a good support of people. And so since then, it was kind of like my first stepping stone in kind of like networking with a lot of people. That was my first time connecting with other communities around Canada. I know they exist, but I never really talked to a lot of them until then. When I was promoting it at the time, it was towards the completion of the contest. Are you guys familiar with Net 25 in Philippines?
Yes, Net 25. Yes, that is
So
the official channel of
okay,
Aviation
I
Equipment.
don't know what Net 25 was. Phoebe Publico contacted me, and she's like, "Hey, someone recommended you because you like Gunpla, and you're doing this." So I thought it was a joke. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what was going on. And she's like, "Oh, would you like to be in our show?" It was Pambasang Almusal, and I'm like, "Oh." In my head, I thought it was a joke. Who's this person? I don't know who you are. And he's like, "Okay, next week we'll contact you. It's gonna be 7 o'clock in our AM." So in my head, I'm like 12 hours ba? And she's like, "No, 13 hours." Oh, okay. So if you guys look, I think I have it on my page, but like in channel 20, Net 25, my first exposure to online anything that's like interview was with her. So for the 15 minutes, I was talking about, number one, it was nationwide. I didn't know it was a Philippines channel at the time because I didn't know anything about it. So I was there talking about the Great Canadian Build-Off, about Gunpla, about my hobbies, and I was like, wow, this is cool. I want to do this. So that was my first taste. And then when I developed AO Mecha, I originally just wanted to share my passion for the hobbies, which is Gunpla and model kits and all that. So my original idea was like just have a simple setup, like a laptop. But if I showed you my setup, it was so bad. It was really, really basic.
Your
And
humble beginnings, right?
yeah, humble beginnings, absolutely. So I kept setting up. The idea was I wanted to learn something during the pandemic. I've seen people like Zach Aurelius, Tim Harkins, and people that stream all the time, and I'm like, oh, that looks like fun. I want to see if I could do that. So it was more of a personal challenge to me when I was starting. So bumili ako ng mga equipment, and I started filming. So there was like, my first show, there was only 2 people that was watching, which was great. I was building model kits. I was shy. I didn't know what I was talking about. I was just kind of like just having fun. And then I think on the 3rd episode, um, someone contacted me and they're saying, "Hey, I like your show. I like what you're doing." And I'm like, "Oh, thank you so much." And I thought it was just a fan, just like some random person saying, "Hey, congratulations." And then we got talking about this model kit that I did for a competition. And he said, "Oh, yeah, I remember seeing your kit in our competition." I'm like, "Our competition?" He's like, "Yeah, hi, my name is Adam. I'm from USA Gundam Store." And I'm like, "Oh, holy shit. What are you talking to me about?" Right? And then he's like, "Yeah, I like what you're doing. I see the potential in yours. I want to support your
So
channel."
USA Gundam Store is the store from US that you're being sponsored to, right?
Correct. Yeah. So that was my first sponsored store, and since then, like they allowed me resources to upgrade and make my show better. So I've been streaming and streaming, and I gained a lot more. Obviously like friends and followers, just because I'm connecting them with the hobby. We chat about model kits. We build model kits. It was so much fun. So AO Mecha continued developing. So I actually was started off streaming in Facebook, like what you're doing right now, because that's the fastest way to connect with my friends, right? But
So
I found that like,
kumbaga sir, kung ginagawa ko to, ikaw naman you're doing this internationally. Tama ba?
I mean, you're doing it internationally too, right? Facebook is not nation bounded. You're doing this internationally right now. So that's the thing about social media. Like there's almost an endless possibility of people you could reach. I eventually transferred this to YouTube and then Twitch. So those are the 2 platforms I'm streaming now, just because I think my audience is more geared to that. But yeah, it was really good to stream. It feels good to connect with people. I did live stream building. I did some interviews. I interviewed Zach Aurelius, I interviewed Don Serratos, I interviewed Nicholas Tiara Sanchez. There's so many
The
builders that
champion,
I've had.
it's also the champion, right? You interviewed the champion.
Yeah, he was in our show too. So Sir Mark Christian was in the show with the PGY contest. It was really fun to talk with them about the contest and getting his feedback. Such a humble guy. I love chatting with him, and I hope to get him back in the show as well. And but yeah, I think the brand itself, AO Mecha, just kind of grew up, and I made more friends, I networked more, and
How about
now.
sponsorships? Are there more sponsorships that are upcoming for AO Mecha besides Gundam US?
Well, they're all under negotiation right now. Joking like no, recently I had Robot Kai reach out to me, and we had that was our new partnership right now with robotkai.com. Also, I have partnership with Gun Primer and MSMN Studio. So I'm very, very fortunate that they support what I do. I'm just a regular person that loves the hobby. I'm no one special really.
Pero para sa iyo, Sir Ariel, yung mga nangyari sa buhay mo as a vlogger, hindi mo na expect na ganyan yung magiging milestone.
No, not at all. Ask me before pandemic, my plan was just to work, save some money, travel. That's all I wanted to do. And now that I can't travel, I have a lot of Gunpla now. No, and it's a testament that, you know, that saying that you can never predict the future. I never in a million years would have thought about streaming, making videos, connecting with awesome people like you and our friends online. But I am very glad and happy and fortunate and blessed to have this path, you know, this journey with you guys. And yeah, I'm just very grateful for everything.
Nakakalam mo yun, Sir Ariel, anong nalaman ko na you're being sponsored ng isa sa mga kilalang Gundam store sa bansa. I'm very proud kasi una, Pilipino kapwa Pilipino Tsaka sa mga views, kaya ako rin naging part, gusto ko maging part ka ng Usapang Hobby para malaman ng tao na merong katulad mo na talagang pinopromote yung hobby sa ibang bansa na which is kapwa Pilipino. So nakaka-proud yun for the likes of me na gumagawa rin ako ng mga ganitong podcast to promote the hobby for the community. Kaya ako, masasabi ko, it's inspirational, and I hope na may mga iba pang hobbies like you na nasa international that they will continue what you started.
I hope so too. And again, I thank you for letting me influence you. But like, to be honest, it's you as well that it helps me, because like I see people grow and I want to grow with people. I want to grow with friends. I want to help where I can. What I do, like I said, is I try to lead by example. I'm gonna have faults and, you know, and shortcomings, but hopefully people could learn from what I'm doing. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'll do my best to answer your questions and help you out with your journey as well if you're interested in doing what I do. And that's the thing about Filipinos. We're very helpful. I think for the most part, we're very humble and helpful, and that's something that I value as a Filipino, as a Canadian, as a fellow friend. You know, sometimes people forget that like kapwa tayo na, you know, to be nice with one another.
And also by striving hard and despite the trials that you have been encountering, it is not a hindrance for you to strive for success. So
I think
that's an example, right?
It is like, I think that you either win or you learn. There's really no failure. You know, you take whatever you can, you learn from it if it's bad, and whatever that's good, keep doing it. You know, like there's don't let anybody stand in your dreams. Go for your goals.
So sir, since nabanggit na natin yung AO Mecha, so ako, I'm promoting Sir Ariel Obtinalla sa kanyang YouTube channel. Please subscribe to his YouTube channel. Sa ating kababayan na si Sir Ariel, let's support him na i-promote yung hobby for the community. So nagre-represent siya sa ating bansa. And I hope tayo mga Pilipino, suportahan natin ang sariling atin. So Sir Ariel, to wrap this up, sa mga bagong henerasyon na papasok dito sa hobby na to, so ano yung mga maipapayo mo sa kanila na just in case na sa mga napag-usapan natin sa Usapang Hobby, na ma-encounter nila yung mga ganitong trials, or sa mga magsisimula na wala talagang idea about sa hobby, ano yung mga maipapayo mo sa kanila para magkaroon sila ng right path sa pagkokolekta?
I think the right path is something that you pursue based on your happiness. If you're happy with what you're purchasing, that is awesome. Try to have fun with your hobby, and there's so many avenues on this journey. There's going to be lots of high roads. There's going to be lots of low roads. My advice for people getting into it is take care of yourself first. The hobby can be very expensive if you don't have the resources. Don't kill yourself over it. There's going to be haters online. Don't try to be down or feel down by them. But if you really want to enjoy the hobby, enjoy it to the max, because only you could determine, what makes you feel better and happy. Look at your friends and make connections. And there are lots of people out there that enjoy what you do as well. You're not alone. And if you are interested in doing social media and doing vlogs or videos, reviews or live stream, there's no better way to start than now. So thinking and planning about stuff that you're going to do later just delays everything. The best, my personal lesson was like, if I did not jump into the fire, I would not probably have swam. So that's and for those of you guys that are already in the hobby, and enjoying it, or even have trials in yourself, try to help your other friends to enjoy it as well as how you enjoy it, because I think helping others is important. And there's going to be lots of people that are in various levels of experience, the professionals, the veterans, the intermediates, and the new people. Don't try to be like elitist or haters because people don't know certain things. People are still learning. I'm constantly learning. There's a lot of opportunity for you guys to learn and enjoy. So make the journey yours and enjoy it while you can.
Yeah. So isang magandang speech para kay Sir Ariel Obtinalla. So to wrap up this podcast, para maiano na natin to, mai-end natin to. So ano yung mga
I
last
don't
na
want it to end.
gustong
I want another 3 hours, man.
Bitin ba, sir? So before we end up this podcast, so sino yung mga last na gusto nyong batiin or i-shoutouts?
Well, thank you again for having me. It's a real honor and pleasure to be here. Shout out to my parents, Dor and Christy, and to all my friends in Philippines and Canada, around the world. Thank you for allowing me to grow with you guys, allowing me to enjoy the hobby with you guys. And if you guys ever want to chat, feel free to drop me a line. And thank you, Sir SILVERGE'S, for your awesome show. Shout out to you. And your family. I hope they're doing well. And to the Pinoy Gunpla YouTubers community, what's up, guys? But yeah, that's it. I mean, like I am very fortunate to have met a lot of people and to be part of this awesome community.
Yan, so isang karangalan, Sir Ariel, na naging bahagi ka ng aking podcast. At ang ating napag-usapan dito sa ating podcast is makakatulong din to sa mga bagong henerasyon sa mga hobbies, lalo na sa mga ibang hobbies natin na may mga napagdadaanan ngayong problema sa hobby. So itong conversation na to, I will treasure this one. And in the future, sa mga bagong generation, if they watch this, it will be a great help to them to guide them on the right path pagdating sa hobby. So, isa na namang bagong kabanata ang natapos dito sa ating podcast. So, again, maraming salamat, Sir Ariel, sa pag-accept ng aking invitation. And before we end this podcast, again, na sinabi ko nga, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Verge Kevin Umali, and also you can follow my Facebook page, SILVERGE'S Toys and Gunpla Family. Wag niyo rin nga pala kalimutan na i-subscribe si A.O. Mecha sa kanyang YouTube channel and sa kanyang Facebook page para ma-assist nila kayo in your hobby needs. So, maraming salamat po sa lahat ng mga nanood. Happy collecting and God bless. So, see you next time dito sa Usapang Hobby. Maraming salamat po. Thank you po, Sir Ariel. Thank you.
Thank you. Salamat. Bye.
Bye.